This is an OPN production.
Welcome to the third ever episode of Olia's Opinions, the new podcast where I take a look at this week's newest and hottest current events, movies, television, and music. I am your host, Armon Owlia. I am a journalism major at Drexel University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and it is now time to enter the new School of Thought. And may I just say thank you to all the lovely, lovely viewers who have been watching these last two episodes. I am very grateful for your viewership. I'm, of course, very happy about that. And this week, I'm really excited because we get to talk about television. It's the very first installment of Small Screen, Big Moments. Hopefully we can get a better title, but for now, it's Small Screen, Big Moments. So, that's going to be this week. So, but before we begin, I want to send out a special shout out to a person who has not gotten much, he has gotten some credit on my website on houseofarmon.wordpress.com, as well as my Facebook page at House of Armon. Links are, if you're on SoundCloud anyway, you can go there. It should be on the right-hand side of your screen. Very easy. Just click, like the page, follow me on Twitter at House of Armon, on Instagram at House of Armon, and Snapchat House of Armon. Again, I'll probably just restate this at the end anyway. But I really appreciate the viewership. But in any case, this guy is someone who has really helped me out at so many avenues, at so many junctions of my career up to this point. He has done a lot of the visuals and a lot of the audio that you see here on this podcast. The logo that you see, he actually designed it, and I have to say, it's probably one of my favorite designs he's done. He has actually convinced me to go with the House of Armon moniker, which was absolutely beautiful. The theme song for this podcast that you just heard was composed by this man, and we have one more little surprise that he put together. I'm not going to go into detail just yet. You'll find out next week what exactly it is. That I think is really, really cool. His name is Omid Larijani. His other name is Larpan, and he's not just an incredible designer, he's also a brilliant musician. He's just, for as long as I've known him, he's been an amazing artist, and I think that he just does so much brilliant work. He lives in Texas. He lives in Austin, Texas. Amazingly brilliant man, amazingly smart. Hopefully we can get him on the show sometime, and I would love to introduce him to you guys, but I wanted just to give some credit where credit is due, and just I wanted to just say, Omid, thank you so much for everything you've done so far. It's absolutely amazing. I really do appreciate it. By the way, he does all this for free. He doesn't get any money. He does this all in the name of family, and I really do appreciate it. I love you. I hope we collaborate more in the future, because you are an artist. You are completely amazing to be with. And so with that out of the way, we are going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, we're going to start with Small Screen Big Moments. But before we begin, of course, we're going to go into some music, some local Philly music actually. This is a artist, Mikey B, who is a Drexel University student. He's also a hip-hop and rap producer. The song that you're going to hear is from SoundCloud. It's called Bustin' in the Coop. Was produced by Ranti. That's R-A-N-T-I. So once again, this is Mikey B. Came out with this about a week ago. It's called Bustin' in the Coop. Hope you guys enjoy. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
that sauce, yeah, I know I'm getting lost, yeah, bustin' in the coupe, yeah, this ain't what you want. Hey man,
Play this record is from the band's past.
this ain't what you want.
Another one. Real trap shit.
Yeah, I know I'm getting lost up in the sauce, bustin' in the coupe. Nah, this ain't what you want. Yeah, I know I'm getting lost up in the sauce, bustin' in the coupe. Nah, this ain't what you want. Hey, I know I'm getting lost up in the sauce, bustin' in the coupe. This ain't what you want. Hey, pull up in that Lexus with my next page. Shorty, what is up? Yeah, let's take a trip to Texas, Houston. All about my dudes, bitch. Yeah, I'm sipping Fanta, pour a little spruce, bitch. Yeah, that's what I do, bitch. I'm just getting loose, bitch. Take a look at you, bitch. Take a look at you, bitch. I know I'm getting lost up in the sauce, bustin' in the coupe. This ain't what you want, making moves. This ain't what you want, bustin' in the coupe. Nah, this ain't what you want. Yeah, I know I'm getting lost up in the sauce, bustin' in the coupe. This ain't what you want, making moves. This ain't what you want. Yeah, I'm bustin' in the coupe. This ain't what you want.
And we're back. After that was Bustin' in the Coop by Mikey B. You can find that on SoundCloud. The link to that is in the description. I'll tell you what, I've heard a lot of catchy songs, but that is probably one of the best that has one of the best catchy songs anyway that I've found. And I actually came across this one by accident. Actually, not really by accident. I have been searching far and wide across Philadelphia for some great musical talent ahead of a future show that we have. I'm really excited to talk to you about that when we get to it. But yeah, I mean, this really landed in my lap, and I'm very proud to say this is one of my favorite songs so far. I mean, I'm personally not a fan of rap or hip hop, but at the same time, this is actually, I think this is nice. I like it. So again, this is Bustin' in the Coop by Mikey B. This was produced by Ranti. That's ARNTI. And you will find this in the description. You can find it on SoundCloud. I'll put the link in the description. So now let's move on. Small screen, big moments. Here we go. So, if many of you go back to the first episode, you'll notice that I talked about I did the hot or not scale, one of the first hot or not scales actually, on the new television shows of the lineup that we had. And I just went over this week's lineup. And my God, I have a few updates I need to give on that. So I'm going to start with Monday. And CBS literally has one hit in 5. I mean, here's the thing. They actually potentially have 2. Depends on how they fix the feelings. The definite hit, though, is one you would not anticipate to be a hit, and that is season 11 of The Big Bang Theory. Yes, yeah, I'm giving Big Bang Theory a hit, even though I know it annoys a lot of people. I mean, I've literally been walking through cities, and people have been coming up to me and telling me, "I hate The Big Bang Theory. It's a bad show. The jokes are annoying," which I don't get. I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's some things that can be overdone, but I digress. What they're doing with this season, I think, is very interesting. We're definitely exploring some facets of the characters that we have not seen before. Sheldon sort of shows off his wild side a little bit, shows off sort of the laid-back version of himself I think many of us were not expecting to see. Of course, there's a storyline between Howard and Bernadette. I'm not going to reveal the spoilers of that, but let's just say, in real life, Melissa Rauch is expecting, and they might have worked it into the show. But I love sort of what they're doing with Howard. He's freaking out a little bit. He doesn't know what to do. And sort of, like, the fact is they're exploring new ground. You rarely see a father-to-be on sitcoms. And the fact that they're going through this towards the end, they're creating new material. They're giving new comedic possibilities for the character. I think it's great. Raj has been very interesting as well. I mean, I love the fact that they're essentially setting him up with another woman. It's really interesting because I think many of you, if you've seen the early episodes, you know that Raj had selective mutism. He could only drink to women when drinking alcohol. That sort of disappeared, I think, around season 6. I think like at the season finale of season 6 or season 7. One of the two. That Raj lost his selective mutism, which was a very cool moment, I remember. But now it's sort of, now that he can talk to girls, the question is, how does he fare? And he does not fare that well. Now that women actually see sort of what he truly is like. But it's interesting to see, honestly. I love this show. The only complaint that I really do have is sort of Leonard and Penny, for the longest time, were like the central focus of the show. Their love was just the main focus, and now that's just fizzled away. And now they're just there to throw out the line, throw out the jokes. And even in the stories they're put into, they're not really that funny. They're not that relatable. They're very stagnant. This is not at all... I don't think this is at all of the fault of Galecki, Johnny Galecki, who plays Leonard, or Kaylee Cuoco, like the great and talented Kaylee Cuoco, who plays Penny. Not their fault, I think, and this isn't even the writers' fault at all, because they're very funny writers. I just think that the characters don't really have much left. They've gotten to marriage. I don't think they're going to be starting a family anytime soon. Technically, because they already have a kid, Sheldon. Yeah, but I think the most logical step is to have them divorce, because we haven't seen a divorce yet. We've seen breakups, so we haven't seen a full-on divorce, and it'd be very interesting to see the dynamic in terms of that. So, Big Bang Theory, for me, season 11 so far, it's a thumbs up. I really can't wait to see what happens next. Me, Myself, and I is the new comedy starring Bobby Moynihan. He left Saturday Night Live, which I think he was on there for 10 years. He was actually there in 2008. He started 2008, and he left at the end of season 42 with when The Rock was hosting. Did a really good sketch on there, which I loved, and I'm really sad that he's gone from SNL because he's absolutely funny. He was a tour de force on that show. But he's on Me, Myself, and I. And the premise of that is I'd say it's a weird premise, because what you have is essentially this man in the present, the past, and I think it's like 40 or 50 years into the future. In the past, he has dreams. In the future, he's accomplishing. But in the middle, he's sort of going through his midlife crisis. He's a bit of a slob, and he's just not going through things. And I think Bobby Moynihan, he pulls it off very well. There's a lot of good comedy that comes from him. But honestly, it's just a very blah storyline. It's not really something you care about. I mean, Bobby Moynihan's funny in this, and I love what he does with his scenes, but it's not something you can really get behind. So if you're just there to watch Bobby Moynihan work, then I recommend it. As a show itself, don't watch, but Bobby Moynihan, I'd watch for that. And that's CBS. The only major hit for CBS on Mondays is Big Bang Theory. That's it. Now moving on to ABC, which of course only needs two shows on Monday nights, which is Dancing with the Stars and the new series The Good Doctor, which was created by David Shore, who was the same guy who created House, as well as it stars Freddie Highmore, formerly of Bates Motel, and was actually Charlie the Chalk Factory. Fun fact. Of course, Dancing with the Stars I'll automatically recommend, just because it's Dancing with the Stars. It's always going to be entertaining to watch. But The Good Doctor, this is one hell of a show. I mean, first of all, I mean, House is a very similar show in some aspects. They do take some things from House. We have the Chase-like character. We have we have Cameron in there as well. We have sort of House-ish, but he's not as relatable. He just comes off as a bit more of a mean-spirited guy and just amazingly unlikable, whereas House had a little bit of likability. The Cuddy character, I'd say, he's a little bit too protective, but I love sort of what they've given it for him. But then, of course, we have the doctor who's actually autistic. That's part of the reason why I watched it, because I mean, I have my own personal history with the spectrum, but it's such a really interesting premise to see how an autistic doctor would do in this environment where it requires a lot of social advanced social behavior. And it's really funny to see sometimes how badly he messes up, and just how he's sometimes completely oblivious to the world around him. But just sort of the way they do it in a non-linear way with the flashbacks is just absolutely cool. And you at least understand sort of the mindset behind the character. The only thing I would change, however, is that sometimes the flashbacks can go on, I think, a little bit too long. If you shorten them down a little bit, maybe very short vignettes, and then get back to the action. Because honestly, I'm there to see what he's like in the present and not necessarily in the past. The past, I think, should be brought up through actual dialogue as well. But overall, The Good Doctor is an amazing show. I think it's amazing anyway, and I will automatically recommend it because it's beautiful, it's well made, it's well scored. It will make you cry, I promise. It's a beautiful show though. So, Good Doctor is in my thumbs up category. Fox actually is pretty much like straight up great on Monday nights with Lucifer and The Gifted. The Gifted actually doesn't surprise me because Marvel has been, cranking out hit after hit after hit. There's one little snag we'll get to when we get to it. Actually, I think it's on the. I think it's. I need to check my notes here. I believe anyway it's on Thursday or Friday. It's on Friday. Yeah, it's Marvel's Inhumans, which I don't recommend you see. It's not that good. I promise it's not that good. It's just, it's all over the place. But The Gifted, I mean, wow. It's an X-Men television series. And, just their new characters, their new storylines. It's sort of what happens if Heroes meets The Walking Dead. And it's just so fun to watch, just sort of these mutants getting chased, but at the same time knowing that they're going to win. They have to win because it's an X-Men movie. When was the last time you saw an X-Men show? When you saw an X-Men movie or an X-Men show and knew that they were going to lose. So, The Gifted, I think, is a very good show. It's very strong, well written, great cast, good plot, actually. Really gets you invested in the heroes, so The Gifted gets a thumbs up from me. Now, Lucifer. I'm really happy that this show proved me wrong. I gave it a thumbs down. Originally, I gave it a not on the very first episode. But I took a look at the first couple of episodes that came out, and I have to say, they're doing some really interesting stuff. I will not give away the details, because I think you should go watch it. But, long story short, there's a major change coming to Lucifer, and we still don't know why. This is really going to, I think, change the dynamic between Lucifer and Detective Decker. And it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of it. I know, there's already some turmoil in the family, in Lucifer's family anyway. And I'm really interested to see how that, resolves itself, if it does resolve itself. So, Lucifer, I'm going to give a thumbs up. So, on Monday, there are really, besides, of course, Dancing with the Stars and The Voice, which, okay, C for sure, there are 4 shows that I will recommend seeing. It's The Big Bang Theory on CBS, The Good Doctor on ABC, and then Lucifer and Gifted on Fox. Lucifer and Gifted, by the way, are back-to-back shows, so, Fox, I think, is the clear winner on Monday night, unless, of course, if you want to count Dancing with the Stars as a major thumbs up, then I give ABC the win on that one. So that's Monday. Tuesday, there are only, I hate saying this, there are, like, a lot of duds on Tuesdays. There's only 5 I would actually recommend out of the oodles of shows they have on a Tuesday, and they are NCIS, The Mayor, The Voice, This Is Us, Law & Order True Crime, The Menendez Murders, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Now, because I know some of them I have given thumbs down in the past, such as The Mayor, but I have to admit, despite the fact the plot I thought was very stupid, the acting and the comedy, especially from Yvette Nicole Brown, is just, it's funny. I thought this was going to be like a Shirley character because, of course, Yvette Nicole Brown was a major player on the show Community, on the 6-season show, and I thought it was going to be that character, but Yvette Nicole Brown surprised me. She really doesn't do the same character. She's a lot more sassy, she's a lot less sweet, and she's a lot more sort of hard-lined, and she's just, it's so fun to see her completely out of the Shirley costume, the Shirley demeanor, and just completely deliver a different character. Let's see. Rachel Berry is great. My God. I mean, I knew she was funny. Glee proved she was funny, but I didn't realize how great of an actress she was until The Mayor. So, The Mayor, which I originally gave a thumbs down, I'm going to give a thumbs up. NCIS. Now, with NCIS, I have a weird feeling that this may be the last great season for NCIS, because in case any of you haven't heard, the actress who plays Abby, I know probably not many people have seen the show, but you're going to remember the medical examiner who looks like a punk rocker, right? Yeah, so she's leaving the show. And she, I think, was the main reason why NCIS has been so good for so long. And I'm a little bit sad that she's leaving. Actually, I'm very sad she's leaving. She's a great actress. She's funny. I mean, her character had so much depth. You could really strip back the layers and find a full 3-dimensional character, which you can't really find with many of the others. They're not as relatable. So NCIS, for now, I'll give a thumbs up. The episodes so far have come out very good. But we need to wait, I think, another couple of episodes before we can give a definite verdict. For now, I'm going to give that a thumbs up. NBC, all 3 of their shows, I mean, they have The Voice and This Is Us, which are proven hits, and both of them have already produced amazing episodes thus far. So those automatically get a thumbs up from me. But then the true test comes from Law & Order True Crime, The Menendez Murders. I don't know what fascination television has nowadays with doing reenactments of crimes. I mean, I know they did O.J. in America, People vs. O.J., my bad. O.J. in America was the documentary, my bad. But People vs. O.J. was a really great documentary series, and I was very surprised when they went back to the 90s for Law & Order for the Menendez Murders, and I think this is a good way also to start the true crime segment that they're going to be doing on Law & Order. Story is really good. I mean, we already know how it's going to end, but Edie Falco's acting is impeccable. And, I mean, we all know her dramatic range. If you've seen The Sopranos and Nurse Jackie, you know exactly what she's capable of. But she really stretches and she really pulls it off. And that, I think, is just absolutely commendable. So NBC has the clean sweep. And they're the definite winners for the Tuesday. Fox only has one great show. And I'm surprised this is actually the show that I would go with. It's Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I gave it down last time because I thought the comedy they were doing at the beginning of the season was very dark. And yeah, it was a little dark, but now they switched back to the light comedy. I think they realize now that Andy Samberg can't really do darker comedy. So they switched back to light. The Halloween episode, I don't think, in case you haven't seen it, it's absolutely amazing. The twist at the end, oh my God. I'm really excited I saw this episode because the twist at the end is just so brilliant. And you will be left speechless by the end if you are invested in the show. It's absolutely outstanding. So for that, I'm going to give Brooklyn Nine-Nine the thumbs up. Yeah, that's Tuesday. So we have 5 shows on Tuesday that are good. That's NCIS, The Mayor, The Voice, This Is Us, Menendez Murders, and then Brooklyn Nine-Nine. All of them very good on Tuesday nights. I recommend you see those. Now on to Wednesday, and believe it or not, there's only one good show on Wednesday, and it's the one show I wasn't actually expecting to be that good, and that is SEAL Team. Now, here's the thing. I absolutely despise many TV shows about the military. Now, that's going to make me sound bad. But the thing is, it's been overdone so much that I just stopped watching. I think the only good military television show that I like is MASH. And even then, that's sort of a really good comedy as well. But SEAL Team takes this to, I think, another level. I mean, David Boreanaz, who is one of my favorite actors. He'll always be, in my eyes, FBI Special Agent Seeley Booth from Bones, which had its final season this year, actually, which I was very saddened by. I love that show. He is doing a very good job on this show, and this is sort of, I think this is the perfect match for him, because he's just come off a 12-year run. He needs sort of a show. I don't think it's going to last long, probably 2 or 3 seasons, but this is at least keeps him relevant, at least keeps him keeps him working, keeps his acting muscles flexing. And the premise itself is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, David Boreanaz, I salute you, my friend. You've done an incredible job with this show. So SEAL Team is the only good show for me on Wednesdays, and that is on CBS. So CBS, the clear winners for Wednesday. Now on to Thursday. Okay, Thursday's at least a little bit more exciting. CBS, unless of course you're watching football, avoid. Because it only has Thursday Night Football on Thursday nights. It'll probably change in a couple of weeks, but for now it's Thursday Night Football. There are only 3 great shows, believe it or not, on Thursday, and even then one of them's debatable. 3 great shows are the Revival Will and Grace, Great News, and both of them they're on NBC. Final one is The Orville on Fox. Now, the one that I think would be a little bit divisive would probably be The Orville, and I'll tell you why. When I first heard that Seth MacFarlane was going to be doing a sci-fi action show, I immediately thought it's going to be a comedy, because Seth MacFarlane is probably one of the best comedians in the world right now. I mean, he's done Family Guy, he's done American Dad, he did The Cleveland Show, he's done Ted, and of course he did A Million Ways to Die in the West. He bombed at the Oscars, but I digress. He's still very funny. But when I saw it, I have to admit, it wasn't as funny as I thought it was going to be. Because there are moments of genuine comedy. But you also got to consider that Seth MacFarlane is a major sci-fi nerd. I mean, on that show, if anyone's seen Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Avery Brooks' love interest from the 4th season onward is actually the ship's doctor, the Orville's doctor on that show. And I think they got Jonathan Frakes to direct, Jonathan Frakes, who plays, by the way, Commander Riker on The Next Generation, who's also the voice of Xanatos on Gargoyles. He actually got to direct one of the episodes. I think it was either the most recent one called Krill or the one before that called Priya. Either way, I mean, it's clear he's a sci-fi fan. There are a lot of tropes in there. There's some characters that are obviously parodies of they're obviously parodies of very major sci-fi tropes. I mean, of course, we have Bortus, who's probably sort of the Klingon of the show. If you've seen Star Trek, you know exactly what I mean. He's sort of the big, tough guy, very stoic. He's sort of the Lieutenant Worf of the show. We have Isaac, who's sort of the Data / Spock, if Spock wasn't so egotistical. I mean, we do have some things that we don't normally have. I mean, we have 2 comic relief pilots, and you don't really see that. You don't see much comic relief in terms of that. I mean, I'll give you an example. There is a joke in there that one of the pilots is trying to teach the Data character how to do a practical joke. So, the co-pilot puts Mr. Potato Head pieces on his on the face, and And the data character, who doesn't really get the meaning of a practical joke, in retaliation, saws off one of the legs of the co-pilot, which I think it's funny because it's just, you don't really expect that, but just sort of his general explanation is like, oh, of course I put him under. It would have, been very weird to have him wake up during the procedure. It's funny. I mean, there's some naturally funny things. There's some also naturally tragic things. And some great philosophical debates, some great cameos. Orville, I would give it a thumbs up. I recommend it. It's a good watch. Will and Grace, that surprised me. I thought, because rarely reboots or extended versions of a series that was done 10 years ago are good. Rarely. And when this first came out, I thought to myself, I mean, it's Will and Grace. I mean, I think the reason why it was so big 10 years ago was because it was so controversial to have a gay character on television. Like, no one had ever thought about that. No one had really done that before. But now we've seen this done so many times. I mean, we have Mitch and Cam on Modern Family. We have Sterling K. Brown's character on This Is Us. We have a lot of things. And it's really been done a lot. And I was thinking how they're going to make it original. And the fact of the matter is, they really brought it in and sort of made a lot of jokes about Trump in the election, and sort of how the politics have changed over the last 14 years. Sort of, they really made it relatable, and they don't really make it a wink-wink, nudge-nudge thing for the audience who hasn't seen it before. So, you know what? I'm going to be very generous. Will and Grace, you have shocked me. I'm going to give you a thumbs up. Great News, though, is iffy. I'll be happy to give it a thumbs up because there's the Tina Fey character is actually very funny on the show. But thumbs down because otherwise, even though it's based in the cable news sort of background, it doesn't necessarily excite me as many other shows would do. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up overall. So on Thursday, there are only really 3 great shows. So moving on. Friday, which of course we have Law and Order Menendez, which is actually not Menendez, sorry, it's Law and Order SVU. My bad, I apologize. So SVU is on Friday. And, okay, SVU is actually, I'm giving that a thumbs up, just for the reason of Mariska Hargitay. She's a great actress, she's been doing very well, but I would say otherwise, the series has been lagging a little bit. I mean, they've done some very serious issues in recent episodes, such as cyberbullying. I just sort of, it didn't really know what it was trying to be. The episode itself. I didn't really like it. I know the critics didn't like it. So, that episode I would give a thumbs down, but the entire series I would put on neutral. And I just got back from watching Hell's Kitchen on Fox. And I'll tell you what. This was intense. Ramsey hasn't complained much throughout the season, and this episode, he has gone off more times than I thought he would actually even try to do. So I'll tell you what, this episode of the show I think is it's nuts. It really is nuts, to put it bluntly. But I do recommend you see it. There is a shock at the end. That's as far as I'll go, though, with that. So, Saturday Night Live, just to wrap this up, Saturday Night Live was okay this week. I hope it's much better next week because Larry David's there, and he's actually funny. And that's pretty much it for this episode. And I'm so happy that we were able to go through all these together. There's some great shows, there's some bad shows. But overall, I hope I've made things a little bit more clear for each and every one of you. And that is it for this episode. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at House of Armon. So, that's it. And until next time, keep loving, keep learning, keep debating. We'll see you next time on Oli's Opinions. Goodbye.
This has been an OPN production recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.